I could do that all day. Thanks to Brian Ward for those logos. Hey, everybody. Welcome to an event 10 years in the making. This is the Avengers crossover that you've been waiting for. This is ForceCenter and Star Wars Explained live on a Monday, celebrating 10 years of both channels discussing Star Wars. I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Jenn Landa.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw.
Mollie muted herself.
Oh, there we go. There we go. As you can see, if you're watching here on the ForceCenter side, we got some, not even special guests. They're our co-hosts today, Alex and Mollie Damon of Star Wars Explained. We'll get into the history of all of us discovering each other, but it's an absolute thrill to have you here. And if you're watching on Star Wars Explained, hi, we're ForceCenter. We've been friends with Alex and Mollie all through this journey, and we're happy to celebrate 10 years of both channels together. Alex, Mollie, hi, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hi, we're good. We were just talking, like, our 10 year was technically back in January, and we were like, we should do something, and we didn't the whole year. And then you reached out and we were like, yeah, let's do this. This would be great.
I was like, we have to do something before the year is over.
Yeah, I love celebrating numbers and years. I don't know if it's a sports fan in me or something, or maybe just the gray in my beard. You look back more wistfully, but yeah. But I also get kind of sometimes getting too busy and celebrating things. Sometimes it just zooms past you. But we're thrilled to have both of you here today.
Yeah, was it you? Did you not celebrate just because you were so busy actually doing the thing and talking about Star Wars, or was it that like, 10 years, I don't want to have this birthday party?
More just busyness. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably that. Yeah. Was there a show on in January? I can't remember.
Skeleton Crew had just wrapped up.
Yes.
We had like 2 more episodes of Skeleton Crew in January. Yeah.
That's wow. The good old days of early 2025. There was a good 6 days where this year was solid.
That seems like 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
5 years ago, the simple joys of Skeleton Crew were with us.
We're going to dive into some questions looking back on not just our channels. This isn't just a pat on the back for surviving this long. This is also looking back on Star Wars over the last 10 years, our relationship with Star Wars, how being in the space and being pundits in the space or explainers in the space has affected or helped improve our love of Star Wars. We're trying to stay positive. Things along the way may come up that are lessons or obstacles or things we had to overcome, but it's really just a celebration of these last 10 years. We have your questions and chat. We have 2 channels worth of questions and 2 channels worth of super chats, so we'll try to get all those and pull those in throughout the show there. First things first, Alex, Mollie, 10 years when you launched, 10 years ago. Did you imagine this day? And I don't just mean being around for 10 years, but being on a show with us.
No. And I mean, like, I genuinely remember when we met I think 2017 Orlando, and I was like, so smitten with Ken.
Yeah. I remember you saw him from afar and you were like, oh my God.
And then he was so nice. He was so nice, and I couldn't believe it.
wait, couldn't believe it because you were like, I just assume that guy's an a-hole. Just assume that guy's an a-hole.
No, it's just like I watched you on my TV, and I don't know.
Yeah,
you were nicer than I expected.
Beautiful. That's what I want.
Yeah, I think I met you both in person at the Schmodown trivia contest that we used to do. I think that was the first in-person meeting.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Which was also
I remember when we flew out for a Schmodown. I think the first one we did, and we did the Jedi Council together. I remember doing.
Maybe it was a Jedi Council. Yeah,
but it was like that same weekend. I think you're right.
Yeah, and I also was like, these people are so nice, which it's a weird thing to say, but I think that there was, in some of the broadcasting environment, there was a little bit more that whose prediction is going to be correct. There was a little bit of like, let's be sporty about Star Wars, which no offense to sports, but there was just sort of like, oh, wow, they have a really successful channel. They're very knowledgeable and really nice. Isn't that nice? Who knew it could be like this?
Isn't that a thing? Jenn, do you know the dark secrets of all of us?
No. One thing I want to say about Alex and Mollie is that I really admire how, with all of your success over these past 10 years, you have always remained authentic to your beliefs, your values. And that, I believe, has attributed to your success, is because like we know that you are going to not, if you love something, you're going to share why you love it. If you have some critical thoughts, well, you're going to do it in a nice way, right? And I really appreciate that, especially in this media landscape where people do things for clicks. You don't.
Well,
Thank
I mean
you.
that's very nice, but you all do the exact same thing, and have
Yeah.
provided like the Star Wars therapy that sometimes I need. Even like if there's something that I didn't vibe with, I'm like, I gotta go listen to ForceCenter and just hear them talk through it.
Yeah. Bring back counseling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I will bring back
We
Star Wars
need it.
content at some point. Yes, yeah. There's been the community has provided me with some Star Wars counseling, so that's been one of the great things for me as well. But yeah, man, it has been great also just to watch you guys not only like stand up for sort of what is right, but get like more and more analytical over all these 10 years of. Like, yeah, I remember Alex watching your breakdown of the why of Cad Bane when everybody thought Cad Bane would appear in Book of Boba Fett and wanted Cad Bane to appear, and there was a lot of just like almost sports betting on it. And you had a great video of like, but why? What would it mean to Boba Fett? And I was like, yes.
Well, that's definitely your fault. Like, I feel like that's definitely something that has changed over the past 10 years, is like going back and looking at just standard kind of lore videos. And obviously I still love trivia and all that, but learning to engage on that level, I think was something that all of you drove us to do.
Awesome.
No, I love that. Love that. I did pull up, I'll embarrass at least three of us here. It's not formatted correctly. I've shared this before, but maybe just in text to you and Alex and Mollie. But here's the first official ever photo of me and my number one fan, Alex Damon, there.
Oh my God. Look how young.
Wow.
That is at a meet and greet at a bar in Orlando. And man, that was my collider weight. That was my tip top weight. I got to get back to that. Oh my God. When I showed up to Collider depressed and lonely, and I lost all the weight. But no, I was thrilled to meet you both. Absolutely. And we'll talk about Joseph has some wonderful questions to get us through here. We're going to start in a second to take this into this conversation. But I want to say too, upon first meeting you, I remember being in Joseph's apartment recording, and I think I've joked about this before, but without a doubt, it was Alex of Star Wars Explained, and there can be a unintentional kind of trope of, and here's wife. And Mollie, to go from the first time I met you, where you I remember us trying to, we're kind of get you into Force Center conversation to where you are now. It's truly both your channels. You, Mollie, have I don't know how to say it, not just stepped into the limelight, but I'm so proud to watch you take your rightful place there in this cockpit of Star Wars discussion.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really, really intimidating to get into it for a bunch of different reasons, but mostly it's just like, well, we have Alex. What do people want to hear me talk about? Like, and it took me a really long time to figure out that, yeah, people wanted to know what I thought. So, and it was okay to do that.
And I've told this story so many times, but one of the earliest comments we got when Mollie started to be on the channel more was like, Alex's videos were always educational, but now the channel's educational and entertaining. I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Now this is fun. Oh, there you go. Well, without further ado, then we're going to talk about a lot of things here. But Joseph, let's get into this discussion, and we'll take live comments and chats and all those good things here as we are live with Star Wars Explained and ForceCenter.
Yeah, I got some questions, but as Ken said too, we'll try to make some room for thoughts in the chats and all that as well as we go along. We touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to go to kind of your imagining of the future. Alex, I'd love to start with you. When you started talking about Star Wars, how did you think it would go? Did you think it would go well? And did you expect to just keep doing it for 10 years and more?
I thought it would go okay. So I prepared a bunch of videos beforehand. I worked in video online marketing at an agency, and so I was like, I had a handle on what to do generally, and I noticed that a lot of Star Wars lore videos, they were just really, really long. And I was like, I'm just going to do an experiment. And I prepped a ton of videos and I scheduled them out to come out over the course of a year. And I was just going to kind of like sit back and see what happened. And I was like, maybe it'll do all right. And it very quickly did a lot better than I thought it would. So much so that I was like, oh, everything I did is garbage. And I threw away most of those videos.
I was going to say, did you prep videos for an entire year?
I like 3 a week, and they were all short. They were like 3 1-minute videos per week. And then I threw 90% of them out and started from scratch.
You got to release those. You got to release. You know,
I might have them somewhere.
The garbage
the
videos.
lost tapes.
The lost garbage videos. Yeah. My holiday special.
Yeah.
Was this the January 2015 Star Wars Minute launch? Was that what it was?
Yeah. So I think I had scheduled a bunch out, and then my idea was I'll just look at it in like a month and see how it's doing. And I didn't do that. I was looking at it every day, and it was just going a lot better than I thought it would. So, people I think wanted those shorter, bite-sized videos.
And it was called Star Wars a Minute originally, right?
Yeah, because I didn't know about the podcast.
And I think that's the first time I heard of you, because I had been doing Star Wars Minute podcast with the Star Wars Minute guys, wonderful dudes, and they're like, some guy started doing Star Wars Minute videos. And then it took me a while to realize that you were the some guy, and now we all know each other, and it's lovely.
When I found out about the podcast, I reached out to them and apologized, and they were like super, super nice about it. And then like I switched the name anyway, but they've always been super cool about it.
Yeah, they're sweethearts. Mollie, when it took off, once Alex started doing it, it took off, were you like, well, this will be a fun lark, this will be a thing for him to do in the evenings sometimes? Or were you like, this is it, we're riding the rock of Star Wars to fame and success?
I really didn't understand it at first. I knew what YouTube was, and like I used YouTube, but you know, I didn't realize that this could be a job for sure. And so like when it started picking up traction, and I started actually looking to see like, what are the other channels out there right now? What are they doing? What are we doing? And I saw like our numbers and stuff, and I was like, wait a second, this could be something. And that's when I kind of hopped on to do the social media side of things, because I was like, we need to have a presence on these other websites now. So that's kind of how I got into it at the start. And then I would like hop in every once in a while on the Saturday videos, and eventually I just kind of like crept in more and more.
Took over.
Are there any videos where that's literally true, where you just like creep in from the side?
I know when Squadrons came out, I dressed up as Biggs and streamed, and then Mollie put on like an R2-D2 bike helmet and would kind of creep in and say some things every once in a while.
Love it. I was your co-pilot.
Oh, that's fantastic. Ken, you for people who don't know the short version of it, Ken and I met, and Ken was doing the Jedi Alliance show. Had both Jennifer and I on as guests of that show, so Jennifer and I got to know each other. And then Ken had kind of talked to us like, let's start this ForceCenter thing. And then one day he was just like, I started it. We're doing it. And I said, okay, I'll catch up. And he's like, and you remember Jennifer? She's going to do it with us too. I was like, great. I love Jennifer. Perfect. So Ken, you got the ball rolling, and then we all sort of jumped on and got our fingers into it as well. But when you are already talking about Star Wars on YouTube and in podcast form, when you started doing ForceCenter and it became a little bit more regular, like we're doing it weekly, we're putting our backs into it. How did you think it would go? And do you think we would have still been doing it 10 years in the future?
I mentioned this before, but I had this conversation with Scott Mance around 2014, 2015, where I said, Scott, I cannot be talking about Star Wars on the internet when I'm 50. That's just not a thing. And I'm now 3-4 months away from 50 and not stopping. and in fact feel a second win coming with Mandalorian, Grogu, and Starfighter behind it, and the Maul series. Yeah, for me, it was such a wild, fun time. I first started talking about Star Wars on podcasts around 2011, 2012, launched my own channel in 2013, but it was Knapsack Files and just interviews and everything. And I was doing, Jedi Alliance with Maude Garrett, and Maude and I kind of were given that opportunity. We co-created the show. Then she left, and then I was going to switch. I was going to leave my day job of 17 years and go to Screen Junkies, and I knew I couldn't do Jedi Alliance. I had my own feed. So it was like, I just want to plant a flag because this has been so much fun. And then ForceCenter was it was for the three of us like a little mini Avengers of Star Wars. In fact, the original kind of idea, if I remember, was like, Joseph, you do a show, Jen, you do a show. We'll meet up every couple weeks and do a show, but I'll have one too. It's just a feed for us. And then it just kind of, it was too fun to do together and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I envisioned 10 years. It was such a wild internet time, and so many things have fallen on the wayside. And I was a couple years from Jedi Council. I wasn't allowed to be on that show because of my work with Screen Junkies. So this was, I needed this place to be my little corner of Star Wars with two wonderful people. That's what it was started as, and it's bonus that it's still going.
How did you all choose ForceCenter as the name?
That was all. It was in my brain. I'm a sports guy, so ForceCenter. So that's why it's even kind of fashioned like that. It's just no more exciting than that.
You pitched it to me as that on this show called ForceCenter, that they have the different segments with the different sort of people in charge of segments, and that's the way you had pitched it. Of like, maybe you'll do like a comedy thing or a theme thing, and and Jennifer will talk about the behind the scenes and do some reporter stuff and all that kind of thing. Jennifer, from your perspective, how did you think this was going to go when you started doing this with us?
I was really intimidated, and I relied on your Star Wars Minute videos because it can be very overwhelming, all of the canon and all of the characters and keeping track, right? And it's like, I knew I could watch a Star Wars Minute and be like, okay, I'm good. I'm caught up on this, and I feel like I have some sort of preparation. And to this day, I still do my preparation. I can't let it go. But yeah, I was very nervous, which I like the idea of doing my tape stuff in my own little corner at 11 o'clock at night, doing my little like newsy kind of things. And then you guys encouraged me. It's okay. Come on the show, come on the main show, talk about it. It's all right if you say a name wrong. There's no judgment. And it was really like, it was exposure therapy, to be perfectly honest, of just doing it every week and being like, oh, it's okay. Yeah, maybe some people might comment in the chat, but you always had my back. And that was really, you guys gave me that kind of like that encouragement that I needed to push myself. And now here we are.
Here we are. It's awesome.
So
it's
thanks.
Awesome.
My Star Wars counseling.
Yeah, for me, I didn't have any really thoughts about how it would go or how long we would do it. Ken had left that Jedi Alliance show, and I had taken over, and that was fun, and it had good viewership. And there were a lot of great people in that audience, but there was also it was like very YouTube, 2,000 people watching live, and a lot of like, did you get your prediction right, and you get your box office numbers right, and half of it was box office analysis leading up to Force Awakens. So then when Ken brought up doing this as just a podcast, it felt like, oh, okay, well, it's not, I don't know how big of an audience we'll get, and it'll be a place to just talk about Star Wars the way we want to. And I remember going to the Force Awakens on opening weekend with Ken on the Saturday that we went to see it together, and then we were going to talk about it. And on the drive home, I said, can we talk about like the themes, like what the movie's like about, like what it's saying and what the characters want and why we should care and how it moves us in our own lives? And Ken was like, sure. And then for me, it was just sort of like, God, this is the way I've always wanted to talk about Star Wars and can't even get my friends to do it in a bar for the most part. And so I think for me, it was just like so fun to be able to talk about Star Wars. It like just the all the traditional stuff of who's your favorite, would you have a lightsaber or a blaster, just doing comedy for comedy's sake, fun stuff. But also like getting into the meat of it, of the why does it matter to us and why does it move us? It was like, I think still to this day, I'm just like, I like having that conversation. So I want to keep showing up no matter how it goes.
Yeah, that was a fateful moment. You asking about the why, and I've always cited an early off-air, maybe even off-air conversation where Jen, you had said, that The Force Awakens is truly about all these three main characters taking off their masks, and I just remember being like, I didn't even see that. Wow, and that just ignited me to dig deeper. Those are the moments that we love, and Alex and Mollie, both of you, as you've embraced the why. Do you get jazzed by those moments too, where you're like, "Oh, this is why Cad Bane should come kill Boba Fett"?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I remember really having to dig into it in The Last Jedi, because I remember texting you, Ken, walking out of that and going like, honestly, I don't know how I feel about it. And then like hearing all of you discuss it and then seeing it a second time, it sat so much better with me. And also like setting aside all the expectations that I had from like holdovers from Star Wars Legends and what Luke was like then, and having to adjust. But like, I think just going through some of the movies has taught me that like, oh, it's just better to engage this way for me. Like it's more fun. It's more rewarding.
Yeah. I remember not having hardly any of those expectations. And so I came out and I was like, that was great. Like Last Jedi, it's not my favorite movie still, but it like at the time I remember I was like, this blew me away for how it was directed and like just the quality of the film itself for a Star Wars movie. And so when Alex was like, I don't know how I felt about that, I was like, oh no. Are we going to fight about this for the rest of our lives?
I was like cheering and gasping throughout that movie. So like it was clearly affecting me, but just like Luke being gone, that had to sit with me for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're not alone in that. We kind of verged into to my next question, but Mollie, I want to ask for you. From when you started being really active on the channel to now, what's changed in how you cover Star Wars, or like how you personally want to talk about Star Wars with the platform you have?
It started out mostly just Alex would write a script for a review for something and just do that. Like we would talk about it and like I would help him figure out what he wanted to say. But honestly, like doing the live streams has completely changed how we cover any new stuff that comes out, because we're able to just kind of unscripted chat about whatever it is that came out. And that's been really good for me, because I hate doing like scripted stuff because I'm so bad at it. It just like feels like too much pressure. So I'd much rather just talk like off the cuff live.
And I overwrite everything. So if I'm writing an email and she's sitting next to me on the couch and I'm on the laptop, she's just like, would you just hit send, please? Because I like write, think about it, change like a word. And she's like, what's wrong with you?
No, I have a background of doing improv and being a script writer. And when I get too far on ForceCenter away from doing things directly with Ken, when I'm with Ken, I'm like, improv, let's go, live to tape. All right, make it up as you go. It's part of the reason I don't do Star Wars counseling is I wrote those scripts because I wanted to choose every word. And it took so much time, especially when you're talking about something gentle that affects people's emotions. Mm-hmm. I really relate to that. And I love you guys' informal chats of the news where we can really hear, we hear opinion and analysis. And they're not always the same thing. Sometimes like, this film is really well made, but this part of it bugged me personally as a fan, and it's great to be able to hear the analysis and the opinion from you guys. How has your philosophy changed about how you cover Star Wars?
Yeah, it's gone away from the trivia side of it so much, and it is much more about what is Star Wars trying to tell us, and digging into like rewatching the Clone Wars and actually paying attention to the blue text and like I love writing text or writing scripts using that now as if I'm like quoting the Bible, like Clone Wars season 2 episode 8 tells us blah blah blah. But it's such a good guideline for like, here's what George wants Star Wars to mean. And
I love that you did a word cloud of all of those blue text things. What were the biggest words in it?
Truth and trust.
Yeah.
Oh
that's-
my god.
Wow.
I want to like do a whole video about like kind of exploring what the Clone Wars wants to teach us, and I had started doing that, and I think I did the word cloud right before Mon Mothma's speech episode, where she's talking about the death of truth, and I was like, oh my god, like it's exactly what George wanted to teach kids. It's like, this is how important the truth is.
Yeah, and your coverage of that speech was fearless. It was phenomenal.
I loved it. That's one of my favorite videos we've done, maybe.
Yeah, and your love of it and your understanding of it, and you're relating it back to George's ethos and the real world. Yeah, chef's kiss.
I noticed when Alex started talking more about real world stuff and like connecting things to politics and stuff, people in the comments were like, I've always liked your videos, but you are popping off right now. And like people loved it.
Well, I think that is, kind of what I've been more interested in talking about is like, I love Star Wars and I love lightsabers and the lore and all that. But like, there is a reason George wanted to tell these stories. And so I want to actually like explain it for the real world and not just here's how this character knows this character from the books.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all valuable, but there is a difference. So Jennifer, for you, how do you feel like things have changed in 10 years about how you want to talk about Star Wars?
I don't even know. My brain has been so focused on school that I haven't been thinking about Star Wars as much, which has been kind of a weird feeling, but it still always finds me in funny ways. And I was going to ask Mollie and Alex, for you, because you talk about Star Wars so much, your work is Star Wars, your love is Star Wars. What is a Star Wars comfort for you? Like because that's what for me Star Wars always was, right? Like you put on whatever movie, Empire or Jedi, and you just like relax. What are your Star Wars comforts now?
We just rewatched Skeleton Crew, and that was delightful because like we'll talk about it later about just how covering Star Wars affects our feelings on it sometimes, but being able to rewatch a show a second time, a show like that's like just so warm and cozy was really, really nice to do. And also I feel like Star Wars Rebels is a show that we did a rewatch within the past like year or two. And I love that show so much. It's so much fun to watch. So yeah, those are some good comforts for me.
I think anything that we're watching just for fun, any Star Wars, but getting to relax and watch it just for fun and not for coverage and not for a schmodown. It's just, just to watch it and enjoy it. And like, technically, I think we watched Skeleton Crew 3 or 4 times a year ago. Wow. Like each episode, we'd watch it 3 times or so, but we hadn't just gotten to sit and watch it for fun. And that was really great.
With no expectations of like having to talk about it immediately after watching it, which is like such a great feeling.
It is. Jennifer, I will say this about your state since you're in school. You're busy. That's understandable. But I think ForceCenter has been kind of shifting, especially since we came back from the strikes a little bit. Even kind of looser. We've been doing more shows with live chats. So they're analysis, but they're hangouts. But one thing that I've really appreciated with you is you have been bringing this wonderful roll of the dice of whatever class is dominating your mind. You'll look at Star Wars through that filter.
Yes.
So be like, let's talk about Palpatine. And Jennifer's like, well, let's talk about early childhood development in Palpatine.
I know. It was like the trauma that Anakin suffered. I was like, oh my goodness, this is okay. There makes a lot of sense, and like, so that's one of the things about the Star Wars villains, which has been so interesting, is how they have evolved and why Palpatine is such a relevant villain right now, right? Like how charismatic he was as a senator and how you can see how easily people would be charmed by him. And it's like, and at the time when the prequels came out, I didn't really understand that. I'm like, surely people know that this is a bad guy. But now in 2025, it's like, oh, I see how people can be fooled by this charm and this very slick senator. So yeah, it is true, and it's always changing. Certainly as my mood, and sometimes I go more to the dark side lately. 'Cause I'm tired.
I feel you, Jen. I feel
Yeah,
you.
well, I will throw that out as one of the things. I don't know if it's changed, but I think I felt like, I have such a history of being a performer that sometimes I kind of think about it as it is my responsibility to bring something to the people watching, because that's what being a performer is. You exchange energy with the audience, but they gave you money and you have a responsibility to deliver something. And especially in the last, couple of years, we've been doing even more live chats, so we get the immediate feedback. It's been so great for me to say, like, hey, when there's Star Wars that maybe doesn't sit as well with me, or I like it, but I've got this critique, to hear other people from different perspectives and different walks of life of how and why it's speaking to them, just really makes me appreciate all of Star Wars, and makes me just appreciate how beautiful it is that it's subjective. Like, I think, film critics have, in us as, students of Star Wars, we can maybe give a more detailed and cogent critical analysis than just like a guy who saw it once. But that doesn't mean that our opinions are correct. They're still opinions, because we're coming at it from so many different perspectives. And I remember with Ahsoka and with Acolyte, both shows that I really like parts of and struggle with parts, to hear why other people love them just makes me appreciate like how great it is to be able to hear somebody else's opinion and understand something different about them, different about the world. If you allow yourself to be open to, we can have different opinions, and neither of us has to be quote unquote right about whether it's good. And I think I've always wanted to feel that way, and I've only felt that way more as we do the live chats.
I think that being online, you just get so many people saying like, oh, you liked that thing, and then they get mad about it, and just it makes me want to even more and more. I always call it the Ted Lasso quote, but I think it's Walt Whitman who said, be curious, not judgmental. Like, why can't you just be curious about like why their favorite Star Wars movie is your least favorite one? Like, ask why, instead of just being like, you're not a real fan or whatever. That drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Ken, for you, how have things changed in 10 years? How you want to talk about Star Wars?
Well, I will say I've let all of you down, because I was recently at a bar where I told a friend who was telling me I was wrong about Star Wars. I said, well, when Joseph, Jennifer, and I say something, it's a fact. Yours is an opinion, so you're wrong. I may have had 3 whiskeys in me.
I will interject. I want to interject really quickly. I do think that there are times where people have seen a Star Wars once. They have a strong emotional reaction, which is totally valid. But then they will have an opinion that is not supported by the text, right? Like, this character said this, or this character did this. And you'll be like, in the text, they did not,
They in fact did not.
You're actually right.
I understand you hated the movie, but Luke Skywalker just straight up didn't say that. And your hatred of the film is your opinion invalid. But your analysis is garbage, because it's not supported by the text. It's not there.
Yes. I had that recently of hearing someone go, well, in the Acolyte, Indara does say that the Jedi can just take kids at their will. And I was like, you are literally misquoting a character and basing your entire opinion on it. And you're forgetting the rest of the episode. Anyways, as far as things that's changed, like a lot of times when we talk about 10 years and we looking back on 10 years, a lot last month or two, I go back to like the 2015-16 range of our show. 2017 changed me from the prediction model, because I was working for a channel where literally they sat us down and said, you got to put your predictions on a board and we're going to see who wins. And it was that kind of thing. And it was fun for a while, but then that was where Speculate Responsibly came about, when Last Jedi, not about subverting expectations, but just was like, oh, they did something I wasn't expecting, and now I got engaged with that. One of the things that changed for me was during the lockdown and post-COVID, when Joseph, you and I started doing the Clone Wars rewatch. It's fascinating, Alex, you mentioned that. That was a series that I loved. I was always positive about, but I couldn't quite remember. I'd seen episodes once or twice. I had strong opinions on some things I thought were maybe silly or things I didn't love, and that was kind of it. But when Joseph and I took the time to go through each episode and each arc and find what was in there, not only is that just a rich series, it just drove me to want to look even deeper into other parts of Star Wars that I was already familiar with. And that's driven a lot of what ForceCenter for me and talking about Star Wars is from 2020 to now. It's also about defending generations. That's the thing I'll say a lot. I don't care what your opinion about Rise of Skywalker is. That's neat. That's yours. You are not going to take that joy away from a 5-year-old dressed as Rey. I'm standing in front of you. I'm not letting you do that. And that kind of came out of that era too. That's the biggest change for me.
You kind of reminded me, I think one of my biggest changes over the past 10 years is just how much I love animated Star Wars now. Because I didn't grow up with the Clone Wars, didn't watch it until Star Wars Rebels, and even Rebels, when I first saw the art for it, I remember having that crappy thought of like, oh, this is like what Disney's going to do with Star Wars. It looks so kiddie. But I guess I'll watch it because I'm doing the channel. And then like 4 episodes, and it was like, oh my God, this is great. And
It's
then
so
when we watched
charming.
all of the Clone Wars and like just fell in love with Rebels, the Bad Batch is incredible. So I'm so excited for Mole Shadow Lord. Now I feel like the animated Star Wars is as important as the live action. And I wish more people would engage with it.
Totally.
Yeah, no, it's been so powerful to see how many Star Wars fans are sort of Rebels fans. Either they were brought in by Rebels or it is just their favorite thing. That made me go back and appreciate Rebels even more. So always growing from other people's perspectives. So we're talking a little bit about what has maybe changed and how we broadcast about Star Wars. But Ken, for you, what's changed for you as a person or a fan, not a broadcaster, about how you feel about Star Wars?
It means more to me. It really does. You guys mentioned rewatching Skeleton Crew. That's one of the last things I just rewatched for fun, where we weren't doing. I was just, I'm reworking. I watched Boba Fett and Ahsoka. And I was like, let's watch Skeleton Crew. And that just moves me so much. I'm connected to Jod and Ahwood in a way of just like both what's good about him and what is bad about him. And as much as I've been a Star Wars fan my entire life and was known as the Star Wars guy, a lot of that was tied up in what you know, right? The trivia stuff is fun. I don't remember any of it anymore. Alex, you would crush me in 2 seconds in a Schmodown now, but that was the way you measured it. What toys you had, what T-shirts you had, and did you know who that character was, right? That's how I kind of grew up, kind of saying I love Star Wars. It meant something to me. It connected to me, but it was always kind of in that kind of regard. And as things started to change here, and I've said, you can hear sometimes on episodes where Joseph or Jennifer will say something, and I get kind of like, I've never connected it to why I'm feeling depressed about this thing or why I have that thought there. And so that is why I am now in 2025 more apt to be moved by watching Jude Law's Judd and Elwood stare with a half smile as his entire life and plan is foiled again, and how that moment now connects to something in my life. That I was not open to that 10 years ago. I was just here because it was a thing I had currency in, because I could tell you who, Red 3 was or something. Now I don't even know if there was a Red 3, but did he survive? Did he survive, Alex? But you know what I mean? Like and that's what's changed. I am more often moved by Star Wars than I was growing up.
That's great. Jennifer, for you, what do you feel like has changed for you as a person or as a fan?
It has become a part of my culture, which I know sounds kind of silly, but it is true. Like, just like where we'll see tamales and I'm like, ooh, get excited for that. I see someone wearing a Star Wars shirt and I'm like, I know that like I can have potentially a good interaction with you. Like, it just puts me at ease, or just hearing the music or whatever it is. It just gives me warmth and joy. And it's not that I'm in it like I used to. Certainly not like following the discourse or the leaks. Not that I ever followed leaks, but I'm not like seeped in that way. But it's just like a part of who I am. And however I find joy, I know it's going to always be there. And my kids laugh at me, but I'm always referencing Master Yoda's teachings, right? Clone Wars teachings, because it's really good stuff. These are really good messages for kids and adults that we can all benefit from. And I think sometimes people forget like how deep Star Wars is, but boy, I use it a lot.
It shows up in unexpected ways. I produce this show now on a Tuesday. It's a political talk show for a guy, Pat Conkey. We were talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene and what was going on with her. And I said, without thinking, I go, Pat, it's just like in Rise of Skywalker when General Hux is revealed as the traitor. And he
Yeah.
just wants Kylo to lose, not us to win. And so I really agree with Jen. It just pops up.
Yes.
Yeah. Same thing for me. Is I think it has been the depth of the philosophy touching my life. I love many of the lessons about, you know, the rigid versus the organic, and getting value from the past, but not living in the past. And they seep into my life and help me deal with fear. I mean, just how much is about fear. It makes you destructive, and we have such an instinct to go to fear, and fear leading to anger in little ways that we don't realize we're doing, and kind of nicking ourselves with these little cuts all through the day by letting our fear turn into anger, and trying to use that. The kind of this, I used to pretend to be a Jedi by, you know, like just doing somersaults with the poster tube in my bedroom, right? To be like an action hero, like a Jedi. And as an adult, it's like, how can I handle? I want to, you know, pretend to be a Jedi by not yelling when I feel like yelling. When I was working on shooting the horror film that I made with a bunch of people, it was extremely stressful because we had only 14 days to shoot it. And at one point, the cinematographer asked me, like, how are you so calm? And I hadn't even really thought about it. I was just focused because I had to be, and I didn't want to have anger on the set, because if I was angry, then other people would pick up on it and it'd spread. And I said, like, well, because the other choice isn't productive. And then after, it was like, oh, that was very Obi-Wan of me. I was like, oh, being a Jedi, it's great. Yeah, so I think that's the sort of Jedi philosophy really seeping in. The other thing that I'll throw out there is that as a broadcaster, I want to keep up with as much as I possibly can. As a fan, I just have those moments where, like, it's fine for me to just retreat to what I'm into right now. If all I want to do is play with the toys, that's great. If all I want to do is read behind the scenes, that's great. And I need to protect my own personal fandom and make sure that that is always alive. Mollie, how do you feel like Star Wars has changed for you as a person?
I've enjoyed seeing over the years, like, just like how Star Wars helps people. And we talked about that earlier with the live streams, just getting to hear from all kinds of different people, different ages, and hearing their perspectives about Star Wars has helped me understand it on a deeper level. And plus, just getting older, being able to relate to Star Wars characters at different points in their lives. I think it was on one of y'all's episodes where you were talking about relating to young Luke versus old Luke. And I was like, it's incredible that we have a franchise like Star Wars where you can do that. We've had so much time with it. You know, you can see these huge story arcs with these characters. And I love getting to do that.
Yeah, no, it's getting to the point where, like, yeah, you can pick a Star Wars character going through trauma at almost any age.
Yeah.
Are you 32? Who's the best character? Maybe John.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a little older than that. Anyway, Alex, how do you feel like you have changed as a person over these 10 years because of Star Wars?
Pretty similar to what you all have already said about, especially recognizing, like, the fear, anger, hate pipeline. And just, like, I think probably around 2016, 2015 is when I really started to see it all over the news and coming into play. Like, God, everyone's yelling and just trying to make you afraid. Why? And like, just recognizing that when someone is just spouting fear and anger at you, like they're trying to control you. Or in my own case, like, if I'm dragging my feet doing something, I'm like, oh, well, I'm just afraid of X, and being able to recognize it in myself, but paying a lot more attention to fear and knowing that it's okay to feel it, but don't let it control you, that kind of thing. But yeah, I just in general, I think it's seeing, kind of like you said, Ken, just recognizing that, oh, this is just General Hux, or it's just all these situations pop up, and I'm like, oh, this is just like this lesson George Lucas tried to teach me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Ken, do you have a favorite Star Wars story in the last 10 years? This is a hard question for all of us, I think, because we all celebrate the entire saga, the entire catalog. But do you have a favorite Star Wars story, whether it's movie, TV show, novel, comic book, all that?
I do. I want to bring it. Laserball says the older I get, the more I sympathize with the Dianoga, and that's a place we all need to get to. Yeah, in terms of an actual show, a movie, a book, or something like that. Yeah, I think I have to go to the Book of Boba Fett because it's absolutely one of my favorite Star Wars shows. But I've acknowledged here on our channel and even in conversations in real life that I say, yeah, I get it. It's a little wonky. It's got some sequences that don't work for me. Some of the acting's a little stiffer than I'd like. It leans more prequel than sequel in terms of performances. I can get behind a lot of that, and I don't ever try to. If someone comes hard in the paint to me on Book of Boba Fett, I don't try to push back on maybe like I do on other shows. I go, I get it. I see all the things that maybe caused you to disengage from that. But that is because we analyzed it weekly. Because, as you said earlier, Alex, we watch those episodes like 2 or 3 times before we go to air. I was able to have those little moments. Oh, I felt something there. What is making me feel something? And it's a show about community and leadership that's best on the ground of the place that you're leading and all these kind of things. But it's also this thing of change and your personal programming or how society viewed you and that's why that Garza Whip talking to Black Chrysanthemum scene is so important to me. That's why the Danny Trejo scene is so important to me. If just able to swim around with it, that I actually feel frustrated myself that I don't have the recall to quote our own episodes, which seems pretentious. But when I'm out there at a bar and someone says, God, I hated Book of Boba Fett, I want to be like, okay, but here's what it meant to me. Does that connect with you in any way? And often it doesn't, and that's fine. But that's the one show that I go to often that just being in it helped me love it even more.
I wanted to comment on Book of Boba Fett was super fun to write about and cover. And I remember Joseph did that, the child, the warrior, the chief breakdown of the Tusken Raiders and how they all represented Boba Fett at different phases of his life. And I was like, that was incredible. And then I remember the whole Rancor discussion. And I wrote about how it related to Boba Fett and how like he was bred to be this specific thing and blah, blah, blah. And then I was listening to your coverage of it and Joseph said the same thing. And I was like, yeah, just so happy with myself. I was like, I did a smart.
I did a smart.
Yeah, and it's like right around the same time, I think I was getting a little grumpy about the Cad Bane's got to show up. He's got to. And I had been like, does he have to? And then I watched your video. I was like, oh, Alex did a smart. Cad Bane does have to show up. It's perfect.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, Book of Boba Fett is a great one, I think, to get more out of by spending more time on it and not just a sticking to the surface. Jennifer, have you had a favorite show or movie or story or video game or anything over the last 10 years?
Yeah, I think the experience with The Mandalorian and the reveal of quote unquote Baby Yoda was so much fun because it was all of us fans and new people who had never really watched much Star Wars before being like, oh my gosh, A, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And B, there's another one besides Yaddle. It was just so... and it was like the fact that they were able to keep it a secret. Although I know Ken, you knew. I'm sorry, but for the most part, right? You did know, right?
I did know. Yeah,
yeah,
I did know. I won't ever reveal my source, but someone who had worked with Favreau had sent me designs of Grogu on a whiteboard. And I had those. Yeah.
Oh,
and I wish I didn't because the moment would have been more important. Yep.
Then you would have felt the joy that I felt, where it was like, oh my gosh, I gotta check and see what everyone's saying online about this. Which in this, like with streaming and stuff like that, like that's really kind of hard to have those water cooler type shared experiences, and that was Star Wars and it was so fun. I hope we get that again, right?
so much of Star Wars is about parent and child relationship, but I think Mandalorian is one of the first times that it was just sort of like, hey, every episode is actually a parenting episode where we see Din either directly parent Grogu or fail in parenting Grogu. Do you think that some of that, I mean, obviously, that community thing was amazing, but did you enjoy as a parent seeing a show that was not just about, Luke and Vader as adults, but active parenting of a young child?
I think it was certainly more like maybe it was in the second season, but that's what I think was so effective about Grogu is that he is so much like a real child. And I forget I used to pinpoint his exact developmental age. Where I can't remember. I might have said like 3 years old. He's using gestural communication and stuff like that. But but yeah, I think that there's those little moments of where parents, you know, your kid is messing with something and you're like, oh guy, or they should not be reaching for that snack, and you tell them don't do it and they do it, and now you got to deal with the consequences, aka what, ice spiders, like. So yeah, it's just those fun little moments that I really appreciate.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Molly, how about you? Do you have a favorite story?
I mean, Andor was a big one for me because I just was so blown away by how good it was and how relevant it was, and it kept thinking about way back when we got the announcement that they were going to do Andor as a show. Like, I even felt it, but a lot of people were saying, like, why do we need this show? Who asked for this show? Like, it didn't make sense at the time, but I'm like so grateful that we were able to get a show like that. And I'm kind of glad that it was over after 2 seasons, because I think the longer it might have gone, the more messy it could have gotten. So I'm kind of happy with how short it was, but just getting something like that in Star Wars was so much fun. And like talking about it we felt so much more like highbrow. We were like, there is juicy stuff in here to talk about.
Yeah. So obviously it's an incredibly well-written show and dealing with like very sadly relevant political thoughts and issues, and but I also think it's a show that really wrestled with this fight has to happen. What's going to happen to my soul? What's going to happen to my relationships? You know, what is the right way to fight this? Is that part of what spoke to you, Molly?
Yeah, it really helped relate Star Wars, again, relating it back to like real world stuff and what people actually go through. And I feel like in Andor, they were just being much more direct with what they were trying to say. And I was happy about that.
Yeah, no, I really agree. I loved looking at the sort of the Luthen of it all. And in particular, you know, his sort of view that, well, he started this, but he had to use these awful tactics, and there's never a possibility of a happy ending for him. Yeah. That combined with Clea's smile of maybe there is a possibility of fighting and still having community and hope and soul was incredibly powerful.
I also, before we move on, I want to pivot to High Republic real quick, because I was trying to think of a book and I was like, God, there's been so many books. And I always shout out Phasma because it's such an incredible book and it's different. It's like Mad Max in Star Wars, and like it's a really old one, but it's a great book. But High Republic was fun because I felt like, oh, I'm coming into this at the same time as everybody else. So we're on the same level and we can enjoy it together, one book at a time. And it was so eye-opening for how different Star Wars stories could be told. And like that's been really fun.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to point out. I was sad when I fell off staying up with it with everybody, because that community and being like, none of us know what's going to happen next, and we all get the book around the same time was really, really fun.
Yeah,
and powerful, and yeah, lots of diversity. I think that's kind of been in some ways the best Star Wars storytelling for justice for the Jedi, because I don't feel like those books are necessarily trying to praise or condemn the Order, but we get to spend time with individual Jedi who are, you know, beings who succeed and fail and stumble and pick themselves up and just do all the things that, you know, individuals do when they're trying to be their best. That was one of the things I really appreciated about it.
Yeah,
that's some of my favorite Jedi are from the High Republic now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to be. Yeah. So, Alex, do you have a favorite story?
I mean, Andor and the High Republic, especially I've always been deeply in love with the Star Wars books. So getting a publishing initiative like that was huge. But I'm going to instead start a fight with Ken and say the Star Wars Jedi games. I love
Animal Killer.
Survivor.
Animal Killer.
Yeah, that part's not great. But the story, the characters, I love Cal, I love Marin. There was something about
I get it. Totally. Those are
I
great
feel
characters.
like they just nailed like the recipe for me with great characters, a lot of weird pulpy stuff, some new planets, some familiar things, just enough like, oh, we're going to Ilum, I'm gonna get a new kyber crystal. Like they helped the fantasy of a video game. It just like connected with me on every level. And I remember playing the second game and the second half of the first game, sorry, in like one sitting because I just couldn't stop. I loved it so much. And then playing the second game, I remember yelling at Mollie to run downstairs because of that like Night Sister teleportation magic scene, which I was like, this is so sick. And Mollie has to see this, but I can't pause it.
I love that.
Hey, could you text that Ken jerk? Text him right now. Tell him what's good.
That game was so fun, and like it helped me realize that like I could enjoy games like that. I was always too intimidated to play like a big long video game like that, but I was like, oh, I can do this, like, and I can understand it.
Yeah.
And I want to say, the characters in the game and the locations and Saw Gerrera showing up, all that stuff, I was on board. Like, I have to admit, I didn't like some of the philosophy behind killing the animals, like I always joke, but I couldn't play the game good.
Right.
After getting stuck on puzzles and sliding down the same ice slide in Ilum, I was just like, I don't even know what's happening anymore. So that's on me. That's nothing.
I agree with the animal thing. That's not like the Jedi way to go about it. But I remember being so impressed with how they handled the Force, because I think as good as the story of like Knights of the Old Republic is, I think people sometimes lean into the gamification of the Force and how you just like level up, whereas Cal had trauma that you had to overcome. He knew how to do this stuff, he just had to reconnect. And like the way that you unlocked Force powers was just by overcoming his past. I was like, this is, how did they do this? I can't believe they did it.
No, I really like that video game because it taught me the term ludonarrative dissonance. Yes. The idea that the game asks you to do some actions that don't fit with the philosophy of the game. Like, okay, fair enough.
You're really having fun hacking stormtroopers apart.
And they're like, no, let's get back to the ship and talk about peace. Yeah, I mean, it's a part of, it's one of the things I love about Star Wars is it wrestles with itself between the wanting to be new and old and wanting to promote improvisation and flowing organic ideas, but it's a movie, so it needs to be rigidly controlled. There's just so much in Star Wars.
Quickly, Juan brought up Battlefront. Battlefront 2 is one of my favorite Star Wars stories. I love the character of Iden Versio. That we celebrated that Luke scene so much. It's often in the rearview mirror because it's so long ago, but I absolutely love that story.
Yeah, I'm forgetting the character that Luke is with when the dime drops. That like, but if this was an Imperial cache and this is the Emperor's cache, and you can only open it with the Force, how could he get in there? And Luke's like, well, think about it, Bleep.
I think Del Mico. Del Mico.
It was great among many other beautiful things. I think for me, favorite story is always bonkers because I do love parts of everything, and I think for me, I also sit with like I have opinions that I'll back up with evidence from the text about what is best made, and I think Andor is incredibly well made. I think Last Jedi is incredibly well made. I think Solo is just like an actual script is a clockwork of a script. I think Skeleton Crew is one of the best constructed of the television shows, and I love all those, but I also just try to listen to my like honest gut of like, but just instinct. When you close your eyes, what do you see? And it has plenty of flaws and critiques that I agree with, but Rise of Skywalker really speaks to me on an emotional level. I think I really respond to stories where characters are in horrible, raging pain, largely because they feel alone and that there's no possibility that they could get what they needed from somebody else. And I think in that film, we see Ben in such torture and then have such catharsis. Yoda saying to Rey, alone never have you been, always makes me tear up because it is this very specific emotional feeling that I think art can get to, of this is what it feels like to be at your absolute worst and think there is no hope for you, and to have somebody else to just here's a little in a box exactly what you need to make you feel like you are not alone. Is it's not the only place in Star Wars that does that, but I think there's a real power of it in Rise of Skywalker to me.
Agreed.
So we talked a little bit about favorite stories, but I'm also curious about a story in the last 10 years that you either enjoyed more or maybe less because you were analyzing and discussing it. Because we're all dealing with we're fans, but we're going to share our opinion. We're going to share our analysis. Alex, is there a story that you feel differently about because you were analyzing and discussing it?
I don't think I've ever liked a story less because I've analyzed it. I think that's always just helped me at least understand, like, okay, I didn't really vibe with this book or whatever, but I think this is what the author was trying to say. And I agree with that. I just, like, for whatever reason, didn't like the writing style or something. So I think analyzing it has only ever helped me appreciate something more. I mean, The Rise of Skywalker was a movie that I walked out of, like, not very happy with. That was one of those things that I was like, all right, I'm just, like, refreshing, waiting for ForceCenter to and yeah, like, that helped. Or hearing people who have talked about being adopted or liberating themselves from broken families and how much the story of Rey means to them, that helped me understand it and connect with it a lot more.
Awesome. Mollie, how about for you? Is there a story that was made better because you were analyzing it?
Definitely Bad Batch. I think that show, like, we watched the Clone Wars and I was like, it's fine. Like, if I had seen it as a kid, I would have loved it a lot more, I think. But when Bad Batch came along, so many of our members of our community online talk about the clones all the time. And I just was like, I never connected with them until the Bad Batch, until I was able to really understand them better. And, like, I don't even know if I would have watched a show like that had we not been covering it on the channel. So that's definitely one that I feel like I've enjoyed a lot more talking about it. And that one was fun to cover also because, weirdly, the discourse for animated shows isn't as clickbaity. So, like, people don't make money talking about what they hated about the Bad Batch. So, like, it was a more fun time on the internet talking about it.
It really, the animated shows do feel like, the kind of the high school stereotype of, like, you're in the AV club and now you can all be nerds together and nobody's going to come in here and into this room and bother you while you nerd out. I'll throw out for myself. I think I would have enjoyed Bad Batch a lot if I had just watched it. But knowing that we're going to talk about it, I remember the gut punch in particular of is it the Solitary Clone, the first really devastating Crosshair episode, and the I had already kind of bonded with Tech, but the there's always kind of a storm coming conversation he has with Omega. They have the conversation about processing things differently, but also just kind of like, there's always a storm coming. That's life. Was just like, whoa, wow, that's profound, and I can't wait to discuss it and internalize it. So Bad Batch is a big one for me. Jennifer, how about you? Is there something that you enjoyed more or less from analyzing it?
I think for me, more would be The Acolyte. And I liked that I don't know if I liked that it was so divisive, but it was really interesting to see how my perspective, like, I just could not really be changed from how I viewed it because it just felt very, very personal. And it felt different for me as a Star Wars fan of what I knew. It obviously challenged, our conversations about the Jedi and things like that, it was kind of fun. And I really liked where things were headed. And I was sad to see how much negativity and hate Leslie Headland got, because I thought that I think that she is a very passionate Star Wars fan. She loves Star Wars, and I really like what she was doing with that show. So, but I know, like, even if I say it, people are gonna get mad, and that's all right because I really enjoyed it.
It's funny. I almost said Acolyte for enjoying it less. I loved the Acolyte, but something about just like how crazy everybody got about it and how intensely people were talking about the show.
Yes.
When we were finished covering that show, I had to take some serious time off because I was just like, my brain could not handle how big of a deal it became. And that just like took a lot of the fun out of it for me.
Yeah, I think there's a difference of like, yeah, sometimes covering a show can lead to like not enjoying it as much, but analyzing it, that wasn't a problem for that.
Yeah, because it felt very targeted, right? It felt like it was like a very deliberate campaign against it for people who literally had just seen the cast. They had not watched 1 minute of that show, and it was it was quite shocking and kind of scary actually to see how that was weaponized against the show.
And how much it colored other people's opinions who hadn't seen the show and decided not to watch it because they heard it was bad. Like we heard that from so many people, and I was like, guys, come on.
Yeah, I think Acolyte was a sort of fascinating storm of obviously just getting total bad faith actors polluting the conversation. And then I think it was challenging for Star Wars fans because they didn't finish the story. And to me, that one season is a tragedy. And we don't normally get chapters that are tragedies, but we know they're chapters. And it's
like if they just stopped after Empire Strikes Back.
Like, and that's the way it goes. You lose your friends. They're probably not going to find Han. They're probably, we leave intriguing. Oh, I'm excited to know what happens next. But because it is a story about the Jedi starting to slip, and to me, it's just like it's a tragedy where May and Osha end up still kind of imprisoned in the system. Or is it, as some people feel, has Osha found some kind of freedom with the stranger? For me, there's nothing in the text. I feel like knowing everything that I do about Star Wars philosophy, from the Clone Wars quotes about truth and trust, that's not going to go great. So the combination of the vitriol in the real world with this bold choice to kind of just do the first season is a tragedy, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Is there a happy ending someday for May and Osha? I think made it a really interesting show to discuss, even though it was hard.
Yeah. Especially after meeting Leslie Headland too, hearing her talk about the show and about just Star Wars in general. She was so like real about it, and she teared up talking about Star Wars in front of all of us, and she just like seemed like such a real fan that cared a lot about making something different, making something that she wanted to make for Star Wars. And I was like, I just want to be her friend.
Me too.
Yeah. Ken, how about you? Is there a show that was, or a story that was made better by analyzing it, or worse?
Oh, here we go. I'll say Acolyte too, because Acolyte was like a highly anticipated show for me, and a lot because of what Leslie Headland was saying in interviews. I so agree with all of you. Like, I think Leslie Headland is a wonderful Star Wars fan and just understands it. But then the show, I was like, oh, I don't know, some things, this and that. But analyzing kind of changed my opinion on it. And I just recently rewatched it this summer, and I really love where I'm at with that show. Solo went from, I loved Solo, to analyzing it deeper. I'm like, no, that's one of the most important political Star Wars stories. And it also helped launch the emotional canon thing we say at ForceCenter a lot, because of the through line from Han getting his name to Han passing away in Force Awakens. Like to me, that's what's more important in canon, is the emotional through line of these characters over the 40 years of his life, so to speak. So that went from a positive to a mega positive. And for me, I won't need to weigh in it. I don't love Ahsoka. I did recently rewatch it, and analyzing it has made me appreciate parts of it more. That was just the one where it was a bad time in life and the strike happening out here in town, and we couldn't even talk about it, so I couldn't engage with it. So I sat with my bad feelings on it for a little longer. And then I've mentioned before, but like our buddy Alda Diaz was once texting me his 19 text threads about something I had said negatively about Ahsoka, and I was like, I just said, don't force center me. You can't force center me. and what you're doing is actually, to me, showing how the scene didn't achieve what you're saying it's trying to do. And that was one of the things where it still sits low, but I can't wait for season 2. I love what's going on. I can't wait to get more weird. I want Dave to take us to parts unknown in Star Wars, and that's where I'm sitting with it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because we didn't talk about Ahsoka week to week, and I really felt that, and I think I would have enjoyed it even more, because we try to find what we acknowledge stuff we don't love, and try to find what we do love. And I had a while of not doing that, and that Anakin episode it's fantastic for Anakin. It's so clarifying of his character. It's fantastic for Ahsoka. Talk about lessons that you've taken from Star Wars. I love how many times like a Lucas and Filoni lesson will be like, well, it's nuanced, complicated, slow down and think about it from all perspectives, which I think is extremely valuable. And then every once in a while, Anakin's right. It's like live or die. It's binary. This particular choice is binary. Do you want to live your life or not, Ahsoka? Man, love that to death. So I love being able to analyze things to go like, oh yeah, there are some writing choices. Like I don't want to learn this big character arc relationship stuff from exposition from Hu Yang as much as I love Hu Yang. So like that'll always be for me. That doesn't work, because I would have loved to see that rather than hear that as exposition. But by analyzing it, I spend far more time thinking about the parts that really, really work for me.
Same.
So we've talked a lot about stories. I also want to talk about just being a part of the fandom community through doing these shows. Alex, for you, what has been a favorite fandom moment in the last 10 years, small or big?
Man, there's been a lot. We've been very, very lucky and fortunate getting to meet Leslie Headland, getting to meet Tony Gilroy earlier this year. Like this is stuff that I did not expect from just starting to make a YouTube channel, is getting to meet so many people that we respect and admire. So many to name, I guess, but getting to be up on the Star Wars show stage at Celebration was really, really fun. But
yeah, I mean, doing our own panels at Celebration too, just being in a room with so many people, seeing the kind of numbers we see online, but seeing them in person, we were like, oh God, that's a lot of people.
Celebration was like really sobering.
Yeah,
because I don't know, you do the stuff online, and I mean we see people in the chat and stuff, and like that's so great, but it's hard to visualize until you're there. And like people, I didn't think people would want to like meet us.
Yeah,
it's crazy. That's very humbling.
Yeah, just be torsos. We don't need all the legs and everything. Real life stuff. Come on. That's great. Mollie, for you, is it similar, or have you gotten other things out of the fandom in the last 10 years?
A lot of the same stuff, like just going to celebrations and meeting so many people that we knew online, or meeting fans has been incredibly like satisfying to especially like the days where we feel like what are we doing this for? Like this is in some ways getting harder and harder the older we get, but then hearing from people and people telling us that like how much our channel has helped them through XYZ has been really fulfilling to us. And I will say, we, like Alex said, we've been really fortunate to get to go see Lucasfilm and go on a couple of those trips. But Skywalker Ranch was so cool, because I was like, you have to kind of be invited, or like I guess you can go, but like you have to know the right people to get a tour. And so I was like, I didn't think we would ever get to do something like that. And that was so cool. And I wanted to sit in every chair that George may have sat in.
Yeah.
He sat in one of these for sure.
And I was like, I have to use the toilet because George has probably used this toilet. So I just thought that was so cool.
Hilarious. I'm picturing you going through with like a mold of like which of these chairs fits this mold I've made. George Lucas's lumbar.
Oh my gosh.
Insane. Jennifer, how about for you? What has been a favorite fandom moment or two?
Oh, there's been so many. I feel so grateful that Star Wars went mainstream, even though it's been a part of the mainstream. Like 2015 and the Disney sale, like it just exploded in a way that as a kid I never imagined. And for me, it was obviously the celebrations are always a joy. And then getting to work at a celebration in 2022 with Disney Plus and getting to meet Phil Tippett. Ron Howard, Kathleen Kennedy, like my heart is racing right now just even thinking about it. And like literally it was like, a minute long interview, which is even more terrifying. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they were so nice and they just wanted to keep chatting. Like my producers were like, cut it off. I'm like, I don't want to. We're having a nice time.
What happens if you just say no?
I know. Like they treated me with respect, which people at the top of their game, like these incredibly powerful, talented people, like me, this little Star Wars fan, like the fact that they and I've heard this, like they respect everyone. They're nice people, and that was really great to see. So yeah, that was a real highlight for me, is just meeting these heroes and seeing that they're human people, but they're just incredibly talented and successful.
Yeah, that's great.
They all do seem very humble. I remember when we were going to meet Tony Gilroy, we were in the offices in the lobby and we all had to check in and get like a name tag and stuff, and then the group of podcasters, we saw Tony coming and we all like freaked out and we were like, be cool, and just kind of like faced away. And he walked in and the security guy was like, hello, what's your name? And he was like, hi, I'm Tony Gilroy. And he's like, can you spell that? And he's like, G. And we were like,
oh my God. It was so
he
fun
was like just very humble and was like, yes, of course. So we thought that was so funny.
Do you know who I am? Yeah. None of that. Yeah. For me, a couple quick ones. We've gotten, as I know, Star Wars Explained has, well, lots of nice messages over the years of, hey, I was going through a hard time, or everybody hates this movie, but it's the thing that got me through this awful period of my life. And those are so powerful because it can, a lot of times I'm talking to somebody else from another walk of my life who knows me from comedy or filmmaking or whatever. And I say, and I talk about Star Wars. I have for like 10 years. And they're like, oh yeah. Like it's just so not in their imagination of something that you could do. And you can feel sometimes like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And when you get those messages to be reminded that this entire community and the entire saga affects people and makes a difference in their day-to-day lives, is just like, that's for me, like by far the hugest thing. On a more egotistical level, I really enjoyed Kenobi, and when Tara Sinube was shown his corpse, I had that moment like, Tara Sinube, Tara Sinube's dead. And then to have like a good amount of people, think of me just because I've said I like that episode, I like that guy, he's a fish guy, I like that episode so much to have people be like, oh, we're so happy for you and sad for you that your friend is dead, frozen. So that was a good one. And I'll second Jennifer. I think Mandalorian in general, there's some positive vibes. In particular, I think I will always remember season 2 rolling out because it was in the heart of the lockdown, and I think everybody needed something. And I think it was, I know a lot of people are negative about that season, got too connected to the overall lore, and really negative people being like, they just brought in Luke Skywalker for money, blah, 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 all that. But I think for people who are kind of in the Star Wars all-in community, it was the promise delivered that all the storytelling matters, because it wasn't just Luke Skywalker and Boba Fett from the classic trilogy. It was Cobb Vanth from the publishing. It was Ahsoka and Bo-Katan from the animated series. I think the magic of season 2 is about that feeling that this is all connected, and all whatever part of Star Wars you liked, it counts. It's valid. I think that was a really special time.
For sure, Cobb Vanth was like a big, just as a fan moment. Like, I was in denial that it was happening. There were rumors of it, and I was like, surely Timothy Oliphant is not playing Cobb Vanth. I was like, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
And then it was like, there's someone on Tatooine, and then the episode title is The Marshal, and they're going to Mos Pelgo. I'm still like, they can't. They're not. Like, I didn't believe it until he like took the helmet off and was like, I'm Cobb Vanth.
Yeah. And I continue to think all those storytelling choices were, well, who would be there? Let's be true to what we've already built. Who would answer Grogu's call? Well, Luke Skywalker would. And I think that's what makes it work, because it doesn't feel like fan service. It feels like logic of the galaxy. Ken, how about for you? What's been a favorite fan moment or two?
In 2017, Orlando, I was on a break from shooting with Collider, and I had 2 floor pizzas, and I felt a rumbling in my tummy. So I went to the bathroom to deal with said rumble. And when I came out of the stall, someone was waiting for me and said, I'm a big fan. I didn't want to bother you. I just want to shake your hand. And I said, can we have a second? And then I'll shake your hand after that. And yeah, we've all 5 of us have been blessed with these kind of privileges, just working in the space, and even outside of ForceCenter, just getting to go. I did get to go to a couple of premieres, and I got to become friends with Michael Benjamin Hernandez, who's Oscar Isaac's brother, and he and I are still friendly, and getting to wait for extra tri-tip behind Lawrence Kasdan. Like, these are making eye contact with Emilia Clarke, and I know when we fell in love at the solo after party. I know it. I feel it. There's those kind of moments, and Joseph, you're right. We're all performers. Like, I'm a stand-up comic. There's something broken with me. I do love being around people who love your work, because we grew up. This wasn't gonna have value, No one loving Star Wars had no currency. It was something that got me beat up. It was something that a girl I liked standing in my kitchen saying, "You will never please me because of everything you have in this room and house." There's that kind of stuff that struck deep. So to be in a position where suddenly was like, hey, I love your opinion on this, that matters. And we've had these wonderful moments where people have either written us or pulled us aside at conventions and been like misty-eyed saying, I thought I was the only one that loved this thing, but you guys helped me love more, and you found a community. Our Discord is so great. The Star Wars Explained community is so great. Always been welcoming to us, just as you two have been welcoming to us. And as far as a specific moment, I go to Chicago a lot. 2019, and the day after the Rise of Skywalker panel and premiere, which was amazing. Roll it again, one of my favorite moments in life. But being on the floor the next day, and I was by myself for a moment, and the trailer for Rise of Skywalker played, and regardless of what happens with that movie, regardless of what you think of it, in that moment, it started playing, and everyone's just organically gathered around, and I was watching it, and I started to cry. Because I was like, this is it, man. This is it. And that's just one of when all the negative times, and there's negative times, I go to that moment, and I love that moment. And the guy in the bathroom.
That's pretty fantastic. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to tell a toilet story, but I decided to move on.
I got a Chihuahua that's going to keep barking if I don't go feed it for 1 second. I'll be right back in a minute. Ask away.
Okay. Sounds good. So we've dabbled with it, but I think since we're celebrating a lot of what's been wonderful about this, I think it's a good responsibility to acknowledge the dark side. So Mollie, I'd love to start with you. Obviously, the Star Wars discourse can be challenging, all the way from totally good faith people who just really do hate something that you loved, and they're totally good faith about it. They really didn't like it, but every other post is how much this thing you love sucked, all the way to totally bad faith actors who are just using Star Wars as a tool to spread hate. How has your coping mechanism evolved with the whole gamut of things that can make you feel bad in the Star Wars discourse?
It's interesting to think about, because like I feel like our generations, we saw the internet become a thing, and we saw discourse as it was being created. And so like I can remember a time where we didn't do anything on the internet and we didn't talk as fans, and now we do. And so I think just having that perspective about things is kind of helpful, but coping with it, I went from 0 to 100, I guess, because like I had to.
Yeah,
it kind of forced us to, but I think both of us, we've learned how to deal with things a lot better, as far as just like trying not to take things personally, and realizing, but because we are on the YouTube side of things, we know what makes money. And so, yeah, like you said, realizing that some of these people are just trying to make money at any cost and will say anything and do anything. So yeah, it's been a long and bumpy journey as far as like learning to cope with stuff like that. And it's interesting because, like, I don't know, should human beings have to cope with some of the things that we have to cope with on the internet?
No.
It's so weird to think about.
Yeah. I know you've done a lot of the like just moderating of the channels at times, right? Like you've been the block hammer. Where do I have that right? That
Yeah,
you have taken some of that onto your. So you're seeing what is it like for you when you're going through and like, this is obviously just pure hate or manipulation for clickbait versus I can tell that's really this person's opinion, but it still hurts. How do you navigate that range?
Well, I try to keep in mind, there's no way to tell for sure how much of it is bots, but we know now that a lot of it is and can be bots. So part of me just kind of goes through quickly and is just hoping that they're all bots. And like the really bad stuff is not an actual person saying that. But yeah, it just really makes me sad for humanity that some people are able to just say such terrible things to other people online and then go about their day. And like, I have to tell myself that those people just aren't happy and won't be happy until they figure their stuff out. But yeah, just having to go through and block stuff on the. If you saw the list of words that we have blocked,
I'm gonna bring this up.
It is descending into madness at this point. The kinds of weird words that we've had to block over the years, and that's just like part of the job, which is also very, very weird.
Like Alex, what are your thoughts on how to navigate all this?
I think personally, I have to recognize when I'm just like totally drained and need to take a step back. And I'm on social media less and less because there was a time where I thought that, or I did feel that I was getting a lot out of it, and being online was a net positive and it was fun to engage. But more and more, it's because of things like bots, and it's just like not worth the time or energy to be on it very much. So that'd be my biggest change in how I've coped, is to just like step away from it and try to find a way to engage with the people who actually want to and have good faith discussions. And I think I've learned how to distinguish between someone who's just there to troll and someone who has a different opinion. And I mean, it's mostly just vibes based, but if all someone has to say is like, that thing sucks, then I don't really mind blocking that. But if it's like, that thing sucks and here's why I think blah, blah, if they go into a little more detail, then I'm like, okay, at least you're open to a discussion instead of just, gatekeeping is what really, I can't stand it. I don't think I knew that about myself until I started this channel, but anyone that uses the term like true fan or something like that, I'm like, I can't with you.
Just can't.
It seems like such a depressing way to live, thinking that way.
Yeah. The old joke that I saw again last night of the joke that some Star Wars movies don't exist. Like, I've seen it kind of on many sides of the aisle of Star Wars opinion, from, oh, Last Jedi was a great movie, too bad they never finished that trilogy, to like last night I saw one of the classic I have the first 6 Star Wars movies. Excuse me, I mean all the Star Wars movies they ever made. For some reason, that one just pushes my buttons, and I have to use all my Jedi patience.
That's also bugs me. Is there's part of being in this space is you just get bombarded with the same joke over and over, and like you shared the Young Jedi Adventures season 3 trailer, and like
Ugh.
we are excited to finish it, and just everyone's like, oh, does it end with Anakin slaughtering all of them? And it's like, I don't have time to explain how wrong you are, but I will. And
We've seen that joke made so many times that all I can say now is you're stupid and you're not funny.
it's not an original joke. You're telling on yourself that you don't even know what the show is.
It's like, hey, I'm sorry, Jennifer, go ahead.
No, I was saying both have such a healthy perspective on this, because it is not normal for humans to be exposed to this kind of like vitriol and like stress, right? Constantly. I would love to know, especially for younger people who are becoming like more terminally online and like wanting to be creators, like what are some strategies that you like? Do you go for a walk? Do you read a book? Like what, do you just talk with each other? How do you like kind of de-stress and get rid of that toxicity?
We have to walk Hilo every day. So honestly, like daily walks outside with no phone, no music and in headphones at all. Just walking and like letting your brain relax a little bit. And like half the time we don't even talk to each other. We're just, totally zoned out.
We're furious with each other the whole time.
We've already talked about everything leading up to the day. So
too bad there's only one Damon in this house.
But just like, I mean, I don't really like the term touching grass, but getting out into nature and getting away from technology at all, just like no screens and just like letting your mind rest is so important. And I started over the summer, I started just going outside in our backyard without my phone, because we're all just like attached to our phones, and I don't know why I bring it into every room I go into, but I do. But going outside without my phone and just like staring into the sky and just like letting my brain wander has been really nice.
For me, I think doing stuff with our friends, like in real life, is a huge help, because if we tell them stuff that people are mad about, they remind me that, oh, that's totally not normal.
Yeah. They're like, wait, what?
Yeah, they remind me of how ridiculous it is. But also like just connecting with people on a face-to-face level is so much better than reading behind profile pictures and stuff. I remember one year we host a New Year's party every year, and this one time someone had put us up for like the Shill Awards, and they were doing like this tournament thing, and it just occurred to me that they were going to finish that like at midnight or something on New Year's Eve, and I was like, dude, you're alone on Twitter doing this, and like we're surrounded by our friends and family and having a great time, and like, oh, that's sad.
Yeah. I think that was a turning point moment for me, where I still have to practice the, just walk away, take a deep breath and all that. But getting that perspective of, they come at you with the sort of the dark side hate, and it makes you angry, and then you have to fight that anger, and then do I fight it back? How do I but seeing it more is just very, very a tragedy, a sad way to spend your life. When my father-in-law passed away, we did a thing where I wanted my mother-in-law wanted to collect some memories, and I offered to collect memories and kind of put them together in kind of like this little poem that flowed together. And it was just one of those like, what do people remember about a human being at the end of their lives? And all these people remembered their own little small interactions, some of them with known factual inconsistencies of like, that couldn't have happened that year, but what they remember is how kind he was, or when he did this one specific thing for them, or how he looked across the room and what they thought he was thinking. And I remember thinking about like some of the people who like make dedicated like, Twitter feeds of every day getting up and being like, who is going to at their funeral go, what I admired was
dedication,
their 8-year campaign to spread hate against a human being who made a movie they didn't like. Like, That was some
Mhm.
perspective for me. Jennifer, what are your thoughts on dealing with the dark side of the discourse?
I used to wade into it. I used to like to stir it up because I thought it was so silly. So I would do a rap about it, or I would try and do a sketch about it. And now I'm just like, I don't have time for that. Like, you could deal with it. And it's also become a little bit like, just like, I don't know, like you're saying bots. That really does feel true because it's just like flooded. And I'm like, why am I going to waste my time, my day dealing with these people who I don't even know if they're real? And some people just like they genuinely they get a rise out of getting a rise out of us. And it's like, I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. I've got other stuff I need to do. So it's just life. I've just, getting older. Yeah, I'm not going to deal with it. Protect my joy, my happiness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is there, when you want to protect your Star Wars joy, is there a thing that you go to? Is there like, do you have like a Star Wars happy space, Jennifer, that you connect to?
I mean, like the behind the scenes, like, the Star Wars models, the
Yeah.
creatures, like watching all that stuff and seeing the people who make these things that we love, right? That there are people behind it, like just celebrating them and their work. And I don't know. That's what I go to.
Yeah.
I love reading and watching anything behind the scenes from like ILM,
Yes.
and just seeing like this
Mhm.
ragtag group of kids, basically like a bunch of carpenters and photographers got together and they were like, let's make some nerdy stuff.
Yes.
So cool.
I love it.
Yes. Ken, how do you navigate these days the discourse?
I fail all the time. I mean, and I'll say here, pretty still blessed and privileged existence on the internet compared to others I know, including you, Mollie, including you, Jen, and that's a caveat just to say that I still get angry. And there's things like you said, Joseph, that kind of stuff, the Gen X certainty that we established this opinion in 1999 and it's a fact. That infuriates me both online and real life. Because it's so dismissive, it's so gatekeepery. And then I have my moments. My nickname from some of my friends is Kenny No Bothers, and I'll just, it's fine. And then there's that one thing, and I don't even sometimes can't predict it, and that's when I'll get a ForceCenter comment. I'll just type back like a paragraph, and even sometimes I'll delete it, or sometimes I just have to walk away. Just that rage comes out. It's 2017 into 2018 was when it started to really sour because of the culture war found Star Wars, or it came into Star Wars. We're still fighting Gamergate. That is still going on. And it just goes to different pop culture worlds. And when I had that moment of why is everyone upset at me because I like this movie? And then that's maybe 10% of people who are real. The rest of it is, oh, this is now a battlefield for something bigger beyond Star Wars. That kind of changed how I approach it, but it doesn't mean sometimes, you want to roll up your sleeves and punch back, and that's not necessarily going to affect. And you're right, nowadays, Mollie, most of it is probably bots or is someone just firing something off. So I struggle with it all the time. Still do. And Game of Thrones affect me after the big season 8 thing where I love season 8, but I also was on shows and I just felt I couldn't do that anymore. I pulled back from Game of Thrones coverage a lot. Like every once in a while I'll do it. But I was just like, you all robbed me some joy, and I'm not going to give that away anymore. Star Wars is a little different. ForceCenter is a little more established than my Cast Really Talk podcast. But it was like that was 2019 because Rise of Skywalker and season 8 of Game of Thrones came out. Things I both love, though I understand things about them that people don't love. I get that, but it was just like you all have really reached across it into my heart and pulled it out like Molaron from Temple of Doom, because I love these things and I don't want to. I got to protect it. And I go, Mollie, going for walks with no headphones in and everything. I've started doing that recently because I love music so much. I always had headphones in. It's so nice to just kind of walk outside and feel the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the seeing Rise of Skywalker was like a real special day. We went to a press screening. Ken was there and my wife and Marcellus, and we had a nice meal. And it was great. And then my wife and I just didn't want to go home. And we went to Musso and Frank and had martinis, and some people were there who had worked on the premiere but didn't get to see the movie yet. And they're like, we don't want spoilers, but we want to know this. And we had this kind of nice dance. And my wife and I really talked a lot about how much that movie sort of elevated Leia to take her rightful place as the Skywalker twins and just as important as Luke, and sort of all these things that you can debate with fans, whatever. But I was so happy. I was in such a nice mood, and then I opened my phone and it was the hashtag JJ Abrams is over party, and it like fine with critiques of the movie, but it was basically like, let's kill lens flare man was like the energy on my phone, and it felt like the gif of the scene from Community where he opens the door and there's just like chaos and fire and pain, and like whoop, close the door. And that was one of those moments that made me remember of just like, okay, it's fine sometimes to choose to do what you guys are saying, of just like, if you're in a place of joy, just don't look for a while, and look when you're ready to get the blast in the face of other energy.
It's so sad that like you just know that that's what the internet is now. It's what it's evolved to become. You're going to see something to like really disappoint you and make you sad.
I've never gotten off Twitter and been like, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
Right.
My cup is full.
You're highlighting, Joseph. I'm trying to explain, the dividing line, and I'll go to Game of Thrones season 8. If someone comes to me and says like, "Hey, I didn't like this," that my now former fiance, one of the best critiques was like, she's like, "I love the moment. I was rooting for Dany to go bad. I just wish I would have had more of her experience and perspective on it." And I think the show kind of moved over that. I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. That versus the people going, "Did you see that coffee cup they left on the set? Dan and Dave wanted out of their deal." Shut the fuck up. You don't know anything about Dan and Dave or production, or how that coffee cup ended there. And that's where, as you can see, I get my rage comes out, because it's like you're unintelligent and you're acting like you're out here knowing everything that's going on. And that's when I want to fight. And that's where it's been the struggle for 10 years. That's the line.
Yeah. And half the time, or more than half the time, like saying anything back to those people is going to accomplish nothing. And you're not going to change their mind. You're not going to give them some epiphany to make them a better person. So that's just hard to internalize.
Yeah. And I've also learned that, like, from my kids, there are elementary school kids that are online now. Like, but this is kind of a newer thing where younger kids, 10-year-olds, are now commenting on YouTube. And their thing is, from what I've heard, they like to just troll, and they will say whatever they want. And like, they know that they're, that's so-and-so from such and such class, but they might have a different name online, but they just think it's funny. Like, and meanwhile, we're all getting upset, and not necessarily that they're coming into our Star Wars spaces. They may be. So I sometimes will think about that. I'm like, is this a 10-year-old kid that I'm arguing with? I'm not going to go there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very true. And I do think that somebody is in the comment is talking about celebration. Laser Bolt vids. One of the reasons celebration is so important is that it generally spreads positivity about Star Wars. Nobody goes to celebration just to complain about it. I have had that experience too, where I have to remember I can be part of the problem, because if you talk to people in person, sometimes they'll come at you with a strong opinion, and then you're just like, well, I have this different perspective, and it'll become a human conversation. And you spend too much time on the internet, you forget that those things can happen. And I had a time with some of my wife's friends where it had been a really divisive time. I think it was around the Acolyte, and she's like, well, what's your favorite Star Wars? So it's like, I don't rank things because blah 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 blah. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm the problem. I'm being the problem right now. And they're like,
yeah, I've had those moments too.
We just wanted to know if you liked Ewoks. Sorry, my bad. Moving on from the darkness. So, Alex, if Lucasfilm announced tomorrow that they were putting a pause on Star Wars for 5 years, like we announced these movies, but Star Wars, sorry, we think everybody's right, we need a pause, and just no Star Wars for 5 years, what would you do? Would you continue with the channel, and how would you do it?
Yeah, I think I would dive back into Legends a little bit. Like, I recently reread the Thrawn trilogy because I think it's going to inform Ahsoka season 2 and Filoni's movie a little bit. So, and I hadn't read them in 10 years, and I really enjoyed it. And it made me want to read even just some of the ones that I remember even as a kid. I was like, that wasn't great, but I kind of want to revisit it. And so having some time to go into Legends would actually be a lot of fun. But I think we're also just working on other ways to be creative, and like we're working on a tabletop RPG show that is Star Wars, but
Awesome.
like just finding different ways to have fun with Star Wars instead of just like talking about what other people are making all the time. Probably focus a little more on that.
That's great. Mollie, you have thoughts on how you would fill 5 years of no new Star Wars?
I wrote notes for this one. I just wrote panic, start looking for a job, and
Oh, no.
write a book, question mark?
Question mark profit?
Wow. Oh.
That's amazing.
What would you write a book about?
Honestly, we've talked about like just writing a book about the process of starting the channel and like doing it for 10 years and
Yeah.
seeing what YouTube used to be and seeing it change a lot over the years and what it's become now. We've discussed, writing something short and sweet about that. So yeah, if they came out and said, we're going to take a nice long break, I'd be like, okay, what else can we work on?
Yeah, that's fantastic. People would find that very valuable, I think. Jennifer, how about for you? How would you want to fill those 5 years? Would you continue recording with us?
You know what? I think it reminds me of like when our Wi-Fi goes out here at the house and my kids start freaking out because they're like the PS5, everything's connected to the Wi-Fi, and I'm like, I've lived through the dark ages, right? Like I remember a time where there was no new Star Wars, and obviously, like because my job, with the exception of ForceCenter, like has now moved away from Star Wars. Like, so I guess I would kind of be at peace with it. But yeah, it'd be okay. It'd be all right. I don't know. It'd be interesting. Maybe I would love it. Maybe I would hate it. But
I should admit there are some days where I'm like, I fantasize about YouTube and Google just exploding and like the internet going away. And I'd be like, well,
burn it all down.
I'll be a farmer. I don't know.
Yeah, let's start over.
We'll live off the land.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Atlanta peanut farmer.
Yeah. Now imagine you being a farmer while there's the internet and having group chats while you work the fields. I think for me, I feel similarly to Alex. Like I'm very excited for all the new stuff, and it's kind of an exciting time in the community where everybody gets to be excited about a new thing. But there's so many things that I would love to have the elbow room to spend more time on. Like we never really, as ForceCenter, did a ton of coverage of Rebels. Like we would early on, we would give like a quick opinion on a big episode, but having the time to go through it episode by episode, or it's a lot of early stuff that I'd love to revisit. I would love to have the time to like read those Lando novels and do 3-hour episodes analyzing Lando novels. All that kind of stuff would be fantastic, and just more behind the scenes too. I read today. This weekend I want to plug it. This book, BFI Classics. It's a whole series that they do where different authors write an essay from kind of a different perspective about a seminal film. And this one was so funny. It was written in 2009. It was written by a gentleman named Will Brooker. And his whole setup is people always talk about the special effects and how Star Wars changed the industry. Nobody ever actually analyzes the film Star Wars and why George Lucas made it, and talks all about the organic and the rigid, and it being written in 2009. I was like, oh, this guy must be so happy now with the number of podcasts covering exactly what he's talking about. Ken, how would you handle a 5-year break?
I mean, the reality of my current situation, I can't stop, won't stop. This generates a part-time income that I need desperately. So we're still going. 5 years off. We'll see you next week for 4 episodes. But outside of that, and there are times where, like I said, I walked away from I still talk about Game of Thrones. I do have a channel, Casually Talk, but I don't talk about it like I used to. In fact, there's a new series coming January 18th. The Hedge Knight stuff, the Dunk and Egg stuff. I'm so excited for it. I think I'll talk about it. I might not, and that feels great. But in terms of Star Wars, like if Lucasfilm was like nothing new for 5 years, I think that's where channels like us here, both of us, our channels, like we can survive and thrive. News drives clicks. We see it too. You all see it too. You talk about the news. We have our news show tomorrow talking about Star Wars 77. That will drive clicks. I get it. I get it. But I love when we have the time to do a 7-part series on lightsaber fights and the themes of every fight, and going scene by scene and analyzing things. We just don't have the time to do that as much. So I think we can thrive in those downtimes where there's a lot of things to go back and analyze and reanalyze and recontextualize. So that's kind of where we probably go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would love that. But I am more excited for the new things. That'll be great.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
my last question. So Ken, I'll start with you. If there was an action figure of you, not as a Star Wars character, but as a person who talks about Star Wars, what would the figure look like? What's your outfit? What are your accessories?
Probably similar to this: a ForceCenter T-shirt, an ill-fitted Rebels hat, or my old Imperial one. In fact, I'm looking at a plushie that someone made of me from my screen checking days.
Yeah.
It has a logo T-shirt and an Imperial hat on. I think, gosh, what would now I'll include a Chihuahua as the accessory. That and a mug full of drinks of ill repute. I think it's simple. What you see is what you get. I want it on a shelf.
Deluxe action figure Ken with Chihuahua.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Jennifer, how about you?
I go to Dress to Impress. Does anyone know that game for Roblox? The kids really love it. And so I start picking my outfit of what it would be and the boots that I would wear. And I'd wear my Death Star costume, skirt. And then I would have like a chunky, fuzzy sweater on top, that's slightly cropped. And like, it basically wouldn't resemble me anymore because I'm in mob mode. But I would make my Dress to Impress avatar really cute. So that's where I go with it. And she'd be holding a microphone, of course.
Yeah, nice. Yes, I think I would be mostly wearing all black, probably my Jedi T-shirt that I'm wearing right now, and then I would want to come with a cup of coffee because I'm often drinking that while we record in the mornings. But we used to have whiskey when we were doing Data Bank Brawl, so I'd want both fluids so people could play which version they want of me.
Swap it out.
And then I think the most honest accessory would be a small action figure, small Star Wars action figure. I'd be the big main figure, but then we'd come with a little tiny Star Wars action figure, and Obi-Wan Kenobi figure. Alex, how about you? What would your action figure of talking Star Wars look like?
Well, we discussed this on our walk with the dog, actually, but we said we would need to be like a pack. Some of those lines, you have to buy like all the different action figures, and then together you get pieces of another thing you can assemble. So it was like I would have the teleprompter and a tripod. And Mollie said
I would have the nice camera and the good lights.
I loved it.
Nice. Those
we
packs,
get like the little boxes for Hilo and Pippin.
Oh, I am so happy to hear that because a lot of those sort of build a thing, separate a character into body parts. I thought you were going to say, I'd have the front half of Hilo and Mollie would have the back half of Hilo. Like,
no, like together our two toys would make like a
set,
a little room.
Yeah.
But I would probably have a Grogu t-shirt or like at least a little Grogu accessory, and my outfit would just be like, Star Wars t-shirt, but it would be like nice from the waist up and then ratty, just like stained sweatpants from the waist down, mismatched socks.
Oh,
exactly right. Yeah. I'd do that Jedi Temple Challenge shirt that we have, and then sweatpants on the bottom.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, those were all my questions. We did get lots of nice super chats. So, Ken, where do you want to go from here?
If you guys see any in your chat too that you want to pull up, let's go for it. Some very generous super chats. I love this one. Tom said I started watching Star Wars when I was 8 or 9. I'm 60 now. That makes us feel all 79 years old.
So cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Ken Plume said, "Happy anniversary." She gave her. Ken wanted me to mention how much he loves Jedi Beat from you, Jen. And if life was different, that would be the only thing you'd be doing right now. If the internet was full of justice. I'll pull a couple here, then you all can grab any. Eli says thanks for all the 10 years. We appreciate that very much, Eli. Natalie, the vegan, saying congratulations to the 10 years. Hopefully 10 more years to come. I'm not going to make the mistake and say, absolutely, it's talking Star Wars at 60. Who'd be doing that? Could be.
Yep.
There's an audience. I actually have to go, but
Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you all so much. You know what I love? There was a moment where you guys were talking about the High Republic and the game, and I was just like, I don't know anything. But the thing that, but what was so cool was that I got excited. And rather than feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm not supposed to be here, or I don't belong in this, like it's what friends do for each other. It's like we share new things, and that's like the passion of Star Wars fans. It's like, oh, you don't know anything about this? Let me tell you why you should totally play this game, or why you got to read this book. Like it's that enthusiasm that drew me in as a kid, and it's what's keeping me around, in spite of one day becoming a clinician. I love you guys, and I love this community all so much. So thank you. Thanks.
Thank you,
Oh,
Jennifer.
Great, Jed.
With
And
that,
if you ever do play Fallen Order, feel free to text me throughout.
oh really? Okay. I'll probably dial up. I've been playing Sackboy. Does anyone know Sackboy on the PS5? It's really, really fun. I'm getting the hang of playing video games again, so we'll see. Maybe there's hope.
There we go.
Well, enjoy Sackboy.
Thanks,
Jed.
Okay, I'm not going to leave
Thanks.
the studio. I don't want to end. I'm just going to turn off my camera.
Yes, no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, turn it off and we'll take care of it. There we go. All right. Actually, I think I can remove her, and that's good. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Any more? They're very generous super chats all through the show, so I don't want to miss all of them.
Scanning through quickly for any that are questions. Thank you all for the kind super chats. I think for the most part, yeah, we got more age ones. Hey, Alex, I love your content. I've been watching since I was 11, and you went by Star Wars Minute. Yeah, the 10 years can be hard, but there is a part of me that, like, when somebody's like, yeah, I was about 31 when I started watching, now I'm 41. There's something nice about, like, yep, see, it happens to all of us.
We've met people at like celebrations who have said, yeah, I started watching you when I was in this grade, and now I'm in college. And we were like,
there was someone that we were like having floor beers and had a drink with this guy, and he was like, yeah, I think I started watching you when I was in middle school. And I was like, oh God, like, put that beer down. You can't.
Smack. Man.
It does.
Yeah, I think that's it for the any specific questions.
Yeah. I want to shout out in our inbox office, Jack. Thank you for the super generous super chat there. Happy 10 years. Your positivity is winning more in the Star Wars space, online, and the world at large. Appreciate that. Archangel
like
as well. Thank you.
General Cameroni asking, I can't click on the things to bring them up, but what was everyone's favorite Snoke theory back in the day?
Oh yeah.
That was a good time. On the
internet. Good time.
I didn't really buy into any Snoke theories. Like, I just thought he was Snoke, and I remember cheering when he got cut in half because he was just Snoke.
Yeah. No, my theory was that he was just another guy from far away across the galaxy, and that was not a popular theory. It was like, but he could just be like another guy who's like, oh, cool, thanks for all these ships. Yeah, and I liked any absurd one that looked for any scar that might match his. Those are always my favorite.
Source Bandim, that might have been my favorite.
Yeah.
Source,
Little kid.
Youngling.
Yes.
I don't think I had any theories. No, I was just I was so entertained by everyone else's like wacky theories back then that I was like, yeah, sure.
Could be. Yeah. You never know. Ken, did you have any favorite theories?
I'm trying to. I like the Plagueis stuff. Everything, all that kind of stuff made sense.
Yeah.
We kind of make fun of that era and the Plagueis staff of it all, but that's the thing about Last Jedi. It changed all that, including Luke and including Rey. I remember when the reveal at the time, which I know again they built on, but at the time when she sees just herself in the reflection of that mirror, I just kind of went, we spent so much time at Collider doing videos on other things. And that made me think about speculating responsibly, about how it shouldn't dominate your experience. It should just be part of it. So, I think I like where they ended up with Snoke, including the Rise ending as well.
I remember seeing the Snoke in the glass
pickle jar.
the pickled Snoke, and just being like, oh, what? It was so absurd. I was like, okay, sure, yeah,
Sure. Love it. Any other comments you guys want to pull up on your end there over the?
I did want to pop this one up from our friend Phil Sostak. It says, "Happy Diamond Anniversary, Star Wars Explained in ForceCenter, and it's the anniversary I humbly share with y'all. The Force Awakens was my first released Lucasfilm project and first book.
Love it, Phil.
It's all been a great part of this journey, I think, as well, that we didn't get to talk about as much as the journey to just really remember that humans are attached to all of this stuff that we talk about. You both, Alex and Mollie, talked about, getting to truly meet some of the creators and see them as humans. I remember at DragonCon once when Chewie was in the bathroom when I opened the stall door. It's like, oh my God, Chewbacca. He uses a bathroom too, and his eyes are so pretty. Yeah, and I think it's one of the things I've really enjoyed is to talk about the art and to always respect that it's artists and humans who are doing their best.
That same trip where we met Tony Gilroy, we also got to talk with Margit Pfeiffer, who worked on the sound design, and just talking to her and how much thought and work goes into every single sound in every scene. And it's like there's so many departments building every little second of every movie or show, and it just I think people, including me, can forget that like there's so much work happening to get 1 second of film done. And hearing her talk about all that was really cool.
When we got to see one of the, I think it was episode 8 in the theater at Lucasfilm, and we were in the room with a bunch of other Lucasfilm people, and a lot of them worked on the show. And it was so cool to, while the credits were rolling, every credits page that came up, everyone cheered. And everyone was just like really soaking in, like, look, there's my name. Look, there's my name. And just celebrating each other all in one room. And we were like, this is so cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's gorgeous. That's great. Ken, you got anything else?
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll call some of these chats, and I got a great question from Gaz Nottingham that's a good thing to end on here. How does that sound? All right. We got Amaranth. Thank you so much for that. We got Brian checking in on your guys' side there. Lightspeed Bear, one of my favorite usernames that we see pump up all the time out there. Tyler, congratulations. Thank you. Brennan, thank you so much for your support. We also have Jamie checking in, and happy anniversary. Got 2-part one there. Appreciate that. Chris, my buddy Chris, Carbon Swap, 999 Republic credits on Odie Mandrell. Will Dixon, check it in. Thank you for that. PLD, Paul Danuzzo over there at PLD Projects. Thank you, buddy. Another one from Ken Bloom. We kind of answered that. It's an action figure question, of course, from the one from Ken Bloom. Reefton, thank you. 2 from Reefton there. Ingvia, Felice 10th there. That we got that hat 200 100. That's a great username.
That's Jane.
Sean,
that looks like Jane,
Sean Room with a nice super chat there. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Drew. And then we got our buddy Adam Witt saying thanks to everyone on the show forever, giving this OG a new love of talking about Star Wars with great friends after I thought I retired. It's true. When Adam and I had our first real close conversation at Saddle Ranch on Schmidt on tape, and he's like, I don't talk about Star Wars anymore until now that I met you all. I do. CC Pruitt, thank you there. Star Wars High Ground, thank you. More from, we got Will of the Force. Tully, check it in. Really appreciate that, Tully. And Parker as well. Here's the final question.
Can I shoot something here real quick, Ken?
Yes.
I wanted to acknowledge this. Serenity Jane says, I hope to meet you all in LA in 2027 to say hi. I made Joseph his crochet Cthulhu. I wanted to thank you for the crochet Cthulhu, who is sitting on a shelf next to Darth Vader behind me right now. All right.
Sorry, I was watching some random TikTok video. I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok, and it was a very good video of someone talking about toys and pops and the fall of Funko Pops, and they had a Cthulhu. They couldn't say it right, and God bless it, because I don't say things right either, but it was great. Anyways, question from Gaz Nottingham. Do y'all have a favorite episode of ForceCenter / Star Wars Explained that you produce that stands out above the rest, or you fondly remember? I definitely know my answer, but Alex, Mollie?
I mean, Alex, your Andor videos, so we kind of touched on that a little bit, just being able to relate some of the Andor stuff back to very current and relevant politics, and then seeing the comments and just all the feedback that we got from those was was great.
Yeah, I mean that I like doing the big timeline video every year. I feel like that's what we're most well known for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think covering Andor was probably my favorite thing we've ever done. That's nice to know that something from this past year.
Yeah. Well, I have to shout out to the live stream that we did several years back where we got to play video games with Katie Sackhoff.
Oh yeah, that was
and
fun.
Sam Witwer
popped
in and he just like decided to do it live. Like what was it that he read?
He read the Sith code, and he read it as the Son, as Maul, and as Palpatine.
Yeah,
That's great.
That was awesome. Like such a treat.
Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome. Ken, I think I know what you're gonna share.
Yeah, because I even just did this last Wednesday when I was catching up with someone, and they asked me to describe what ForceCenter is. I think the greatest example of what ForceCenter is and will be is our Dexter Jetster episode. It is the Star Wars scene by scene, where we spent 2 hours breaking down how that 3-minute scene is one of the most important scenes in Star Wars. And I love just explaining that because that's like, hey, that's kind of what we do. But I also love the reactions, which range from, oh, awesome, send me that, to, you did what now? To one person actually just like, oh, that's a funny joke. No, we actually really did that, and it's a great scene. So that's the ultimate one for me.
I think so too. I think some of the longer episodes, we did like a super episode of like 5 favorite things about each individual prequel movies. We had done them as individual episode, then you stitched them together into a massive Frankenstein. That was a longer episode, but yeah, I think the Dexter Jetster stuff is. I think people are always surprised that we can find that many things to talk about. But what I love is talking about some of like the big ideas, but also talking about like, what does a diner mean? And what does this sort of noir investigation, what does it say about class, that Obi-Wan has to go to the people who are quote unquote low in society in a diner with, this greasy old guy who can't keep his pants up. Even with 4 arms, he struggles to keep his pants up. And maybe he's more wise than you think. There's so much about it that's both like, I think I love how much you've glommed onto that one, Ken, because I think one of the things I will always love about Star Wars is I think it is profound and absurd at the same time. And it makes it endlessly fascinating that you can go from like, this moment with Ahsoka and Anakin taught me so much about my own life and how to handle my anger. And then you can go immediately to, does Ponda Baba have hands or flippers? And they're all in the same thing, and they both matter. The absurdity of it and the depth of it, they both matter.
They do. That is it. That is our end. We're wrapped up 10 years and 2 hours. Alex, Mollie, thank you so much for not just doing this, but truly being great friends over the years. I think one of the best things is getting to know both of you, whether it's getting drunk and dancing at a wedding or just finding a quiet corner to celebration. You're 2 of my favorite people. I love you dearly. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for being around for 10 years.
Well, thank you. And same, I mean, ForceCenter, all 3 of you, you're some of my favorite people in Star Wars to hang out with. And every time we go to LA, I'm texting Ken and Joseph. Like,
I am really
that cheese bread.
Looking forward to LA celebration because it'll be like a nice big reunion.
Yeah. So many restaurants and bars to take you guys to.
Yes.
Nice cocktails.
Yeah, do one of your things that you did in Japan. Just take 10 days off before and just come out.
Yeah,
that sounds great.
10 days.
We might.
That's doable.
We might.
There you go. Hey, we're out of here now. Got some business on the way out. We got it for ForceCenter fans, Star Wars news tomorrow. Also want to highlight, if you're local, big show coming up December 19th. I'm hosting and headlining a night at Flappers, the holiday show. Grace Cosmeyer, who was just on our Romance is Love, Why We Love Star Wars episode, Carter Parton Rogers, Jason Kay, and Joseph Scrimshaw join me as well. It's going to be a great show. So if you're local, please come on out and enjoy some live comedy to end your year. That's anything you 2 want to promote on your end?
No.
We're gonna Alex, you mentioned the hyperdice thing, so
we're still working on that. That's we're working on our tabletop show. Yeah, that you can watch the first episode on our Patreon for free. You don't have to be a member, but if you want to give us feedback, because we've never done anything like this before, our Patreon has our first tabletop episode on it.
That really is something that Alex, I haven't seen him this excited to work on something new in a long time. So
That's great.
The tabletop game is going to be big, hopefully.
If you like Andor, it's nothing like that. It's real dumb.
It's very silly.
It's really fun.
Is the entire RPG based on the Idiot Rebels?
Kinda. I mean, they're more like Scum and Villainy.
Nice.
Mollie is playing a reprogrammed KX droid that's very lazy, has a bad motivator. We've got one person is playing like a Scuba Stev, one person is playing an Anzellan, and then our poor friend Sarah is trying to keep everyone in line.
She's the smartest one among us.
She's the one person taking the fight against the Empire seriously.
That's amazing. I watched first episode. A lot of fun. Keep it up.
Oh, good.
Keep it up. All right. That is it. Well, there you go. That's why Mollie's the social media marketing manager. We're out of here. We'll see you. We'll see you not only this week, but for the next 10 years. Bye, everybody. Goodbye.